Hey, what's good, Walking Dead fans? This is the Campfire Crew, and we're here to talk about The Walking Dead episode number 13. We're going to go over some of our favorite moments, and we have six. I'm Campfire Rich.
I'm Confire Nate, and with only 3 episodes left, guys, it is starting to get really interesting. My favorite moment to begin with this one is just that we get to see kind of a closer look at the Saviors. You know, we're starting to see a different side. I mean, up to this point, all we've seen was those guys on the road that got blown up with a rocket launcher, a bunch of guys sleeping in their bed that Rick's group just freaking killed. And now we get to kind of see some of these people and kind of get some of the interactions. I thought it was really interesting. You got this guy that's got shot. You have the name we're going to use, which is Cancer Girl, and then we got the doppelgangers of basically Maggie and Carol. I thought it was interesting to see them and to get a little different perspective. It was interesting because as they're taking Maggie and Carol, they basically flip their jackets up and they're taking them into their like spot. You get this kind of sense that Negan's crew is very, very militarized. They're very planned out. They have like these bases. They have these safe points. They got like different channels on radio and stuff like that. I thought it was really interesting to get to see that.
Right. It was cool because they managed to set up a nice buffer between their actual home. We thought that was their home when they went to like the compound, the armory, or whatever it was, but that was just an outpost. And it turns out they got a safe house in between there. So they've done a really good job of protecting themselves from the outside world. Had they not done that, Rick's crew might have actually been able to get in there and kill most of them, even get to Negan. But they're smart, they're calculated, and that also lets you know, like even with the crew that we ran into in the motorcycle that got blown to bits, they're very skilled at doing this, at taking over people and bullying them, basically the mafia of the apocalypse. Now, they managed to take Carol and them, and we get into favorite moment number 2, which is Carol's acting, as a hostage. Now, I put that in quotes because you kind of get the sense, especially as the episode progresses, that she's not acting, that some of that is actually true, and it's just coming out in the situation. And I don't know if it's a way, kind of like when you go undercover and you're telling a lie, the best way is to mix in some truth, right? And so she gets really believable, portraying this helpless, defenseless, woman, which allows them to kind of lower their guard, get real mouthy. You get a bunch of women in there, they just want to talk. So for some reason, this women in there just talking, kind of revealing who they are as people, allowing Maggie and them to eventually get the upper hand on them. So
Yeah.
I like that part of Carol. And did this not remind you a little bit of the Morgan episode? Just briefly, you have Carol as a hostage. She goes in. She's already struggling with herself a little bit. Like you have Morgan, hardcore. Morgan gets captured. Morgan comes out a changed person. Carol and Morgan have had a situation, like he's working on her, right? So now she's getting captured. She's looking into this other woman, which is basically like looking into a mirror. And as she's looking into this mirror, she kind of realizes the type of person that she's become, how callous she has, and you start to see this change that's been happening on the inside come out on the outside a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a big deal for her because she's questioning. She from last week's episode, she was tallying up all the people she's killed. She's kind of put in a situation now that she's capturing. She sees a person who is very similar to her in the fact that she is the complete killer side of her.
Right.
She's seeing the side of her, and in doing so, she portrays the weaker side. She plays the part that probably is how, like you said, she was pulling on some true things, which is how she used to be. We remember how Carol was, so she's kind of playing that part, and it was interesting because she played it so well that even Alicia Wood's character Polly actually was like, I'm disgusted by you, basically, of just how weak you are. How have you survived this long? She played the part so well that she made them believe that. When she hyperventilated, just in order for her to get the rosary, which she uses later to get out of her ropes. I think that's a big deal. Or out of the tape. I thought that was a big deal because she played the part so well, and at the same time, they were drawing little bits of information out of them. And that goes into my next moment, number 3, which would be the Maggie just being hardcore. Maggie played the part very similar, but except for the fact that she was
wasn't
she was
playing.
completely right. I mean, her part was she understood. She wanted to try to figure out some stuff from these people, but she was not happy. You know, I mean, it was at the beginning when you saw her, she was like, when Carol first shot the guy, she was like, we got to finish this. And then they get captured. Then when the guy then in turn decides that he wants to beat up on Carol, man, Maggie jumps in. I mean, she's 2 months pregnant, which what she talks about in the show. You know, she jumps on there, starts fighting this guy. He's knocking her around. Maggie is like, she's going crazy. You know, she's beast mode right now. It's basically what she is. And I thought it was really interesting, again, how we talked about the doppelgangers. The other girl, when she takes her into the other room and kind of starts talking with her, you kind of almost see, man, this is like a different version of Maggie. You know, she's basically saying, yeah, I was pregnant. You know, my man basically went off and was on a motorcycle and got blown up. You know, which is kind of funny. And now we realize that they do know about that situation. Maybe it was in a car in the background. I don't know. Just saying. But the fact that we do know now that they do know about that, which again, I feel like Maggie was kind of pulling some information out of her, kind of doing that reverse hostage, kind of playing the part, but then trying to pull some of it out. But then again, when Maggie gets out, and we'll talk about Carol get out here in a minute, but when Maggie gets out, she's like, I got a plan. You know, we're going to set up a trap. I mean, she sets up this really cool walker trap. Cancer Girl gets attacked, and then Maggie just beats her brains out with the hilt of a gun.
Right.
Just bam, bam, bam. Just beats her brains out, dude. That's hardcore.
Yeah. Maggie wasn't messing around at all this episode. She was full killer mode. Like when she does get out, Carol, we see the transition. Normally Carol would want to put everybody down. And Carol's like, look, they're spread out. I think we can get by them and sneak. And Maggie's like, no, we got to finish this. You know, with assertiveness. No, we finishing this. Basically, we're going to handle business.
Don't mess with pregnant women.
No.
That's the moment right there.
So that's just the kind of mantra of this whole episode. So Carol goes along and, you know, they're kind of sneaking around and they run into my favorite moment, number 4. And this is when they run into Polly and Carol's trying to save her. She's telling her to please run. And you could tell that she's conflicted. She doesn't want to have to kill this person. She wants to let her go. She almost gets attacked. She shoots this chick. But the moment was when Maggie gets in a fight with the other one and she slashes at her stomach. And Maggie looks down and Carol's like, no, I ain't got time for this. Pa-pow! Blows a chick, I mean, straight unconscious, puts this woman down. And that's that glimpse of Carol's just like, I can't be that compassionate. You're not going to slice it at my girl's baby, you know, at her tummy and all that, and just ways laces this chick, which is funny because Maggie and this other chick get into it. She's like, Maggie's like, I don't plan on dying today. She's like, well, I don't either. One of us is wrong. We know who's wrong. The chick got her brains blown out by Carol.
It was interesting. I mean, Carol, like, Carol's conflicted. You know, she doesn't want to become this killer. It almost she sees Paula and she sees this part of her that reminds her of herself, and she's like, I don't want to go that far. I don't want to go to become that type of person. So she has that moment where she's trying to be like, let her go. But then when everything goes crazy, and then when Maggie's getting hurt, I mean, instantly Carol goes into like mama bear mode. Like, don't mess with my cub. Pow! You know, and we all kind of look at Carol almost kind of like the mother of the group as it is. But at the same time, like you said, when she got cut there, and I think Carol obviously has an issue with wanting to preserve these kids' lives for a big reason. I mean, her daughter's died. She's had to kill some kids, I mean, because of different situations. I think that really pulls on her heart. So when that when that moment happened and Maggie was getting stabbed, it was just instantaneously boom. And I thought that was cool because Alicia Witt's character, Paula, she saw it. She saw it happen and was like, oh, there you are. Basically, like, now I realize that you were playing a part. This is the part you are now. And I thought that was interesting because you kind of got to see the conflict between her, but when the moment came, she really had to step up. But then again, the fact that how that went down, I mean, when she had to fight with her and then she got skewered and then got her face bit off. I mean,
yeah, that was brutal.
Dude, that was brutal. I mean, when Polly got just attacked and just, got her face. Well, dude, that was intense. And you can't help from being like, yeah, that's what you get. You know, you didn't feel too bad for him. But then that goes on to my next moment number 5. And that was when they decided, hey, you know what? We're going to have a bonfire with some saviors. And just the way they played that out, they're hiding inside there. And at the same time, this whole time I'm wondering who's going to get there first. Is Rick's group going to get there first? They're tracking them.
Right.
You got Daryl on the case. You're like, are they going to get there? I'm wondering if they're going to show up at the same time. Is Rick's group going to take them out? What's going to happen? Nah, don't worry about it, man. It's girl power episode. These girls going to handle business all the way around. They basically call out, tell them to come up there. They sneak inside there. They get inside I think the killing floor, which is so funny that's the name of it, in a butchery place. And she basically sits there. She's smoking a cigarette and walks in, throws it in there. Whoosh, done.
Gone. Savior's gone. Burnt to a crisp. I feel like this kind of signified a little bit for Maggie and Carol, which was this was a part of them actually burning up. Like this was almost the last straw between both of them. Carol had been struggling because right after this moment, Maggie had been cutthroat this whole time. And then right when she sees Glenn, she says, I just can't anymore. And then Daryl asked, Carol, are you okay? And Carol's like, no, I'm not. So it was like right at that moment of them burning up was just like, what are we doing? Like, I can't be this person anymore. And maybe you see that with Maggie in progressing episodes as well. But this goes on to favorite moment number 6. And this is the person who has no problem burning people up. This is the person who has no problem with a conscience whatsoever. And that's Rick. Jacks up Primo. Poor Primo should have not lied like he did. Because he was like, Rick's like, you might as well talk. Whereas Negan was Negan in that building. He's like, I'm Negan. So you want to talk? Rick don't even say nothing. Puts a python to his head where he's got bullets. I don't know where he keeps getting these bullets from for this gun, but jacked this dude up. Blew his brains right out. And Carol, it even shows Carol's face. She's just kind of like, man, we are savage.
Yeah, I mean, Primo made a mistake. Plain and simple. He should have said, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he could have said anything that would have kept him alive.
He was going to die, but...
He was going to die, but just, it was funny when he was like, oh, yeah, I'm Negan. So let's talk. Kind of like he thought, again, he was buying himself some more time. Nope, sorry. Boom, done. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. The whole point, and it was not even him that mentioned it the first time. I think the first time it was mentioned was by the cancer girl when she mentioned that when Carol's like, yeah, we've heard about Negan when she's playing her part. Who is this? She was like, we all are all Negan. And then again, he says, I'm Negan. I think that's interesting because we all know that Negan is a person.
Right.
Okay. We know he's a savage person. We haven't met him yet. But it's almost like an ideal, this mantra that we are Negan, that we're all this person. And if this entire group plays by the same ideals that we are this person, dude, I don't know, man. I'm worried about our group. I think they've bit off too much, more than they can chew, and I think it's just going to get worse.
They up on them right now. Every time they've encountered Negan's group, they've had the upper hand. They've won, and I think the table is going to be turned drastically here in the next couple episodes, but we shall see. Guys, those are our favorite moments, man. Let us know in the comment section below what you took away from this episode, what you liked the most. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more like this. Also, we have a private Facebook group set up. I'll put the link in the description to that, where we kind of live chat during The Walking Dead. It's just an extension of the channel. We'll be doing giveaways on there, the Star Wars, everything that we do. We're a lot more personable on the Facebook group. So, join that if you're interested. And until next time, guys, we're out.
See ya.